Good afternoon and welcome to the special meeting of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Burns.
Present.
Commissioner Devine is absent. Commissioner Garcevanian is absent. Ex officio Jaburian.
Present.
Commissioner Tostian.
Present.
Ex officio Yayin is absent. And Chair Miller.
Present. Thank you, Ms. Hidalgo. Next item on the agenda, please.
Next item is 1A, report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the March 18, 2013 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on or before March 15, 2013.
Are there any questions from anyone? Okay. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 2, introductions and presentations. At 2A, the Spirit of Determination, Overcoming Poverty in America, Natalie Camuro, Executive Director of Ascensia.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for this invitation to speak to you about women in poverty. What I have is a PowerPoint presentation, not too many slides with lots of bullets. I tried to keep that to a minimum, but I just thought it'd be more interesting than having my face on the screen the whole time. Ascensia, as you know, is a homeless service organization here in Glendale, and we, of course, count among our clients and quite a few women. But I'm going to start with a bigger context. Last week, the New York Times online commentary had an article about who is poor. And what we had was, Tom Edsel was the person who wrote the column. What he did is he talked about the different ways we have of measuring poverty. So when we're talking about women in poverty, first thing I wanted to look at is, well, how are we defining it? Well, we have, in this chart, is two examples of the ways in which poverty get measured. And because of the different ways they get measured, they lead to different policy conclusions for people. And I'm not presenting this to give you a big, long, detailed explanation about it, but I just think it's really important to understand that when we talk about poverty, sometimes people are talking about different things. So here what we have on the left-hand side is the official census definition of poverty, and then a second version of this which measures income in a slightly different way and counts different aspects of income differently. And so what happens is you're looking at a skewing where you're seeing a higher representation of youth on the official standard on the census compared to the supplemental poverty measure. Is that the right acronym? On the right-hand side. And so when you're looking at the SPM measure, you're looking at something that might tell you, do you have, maybe you should pay more attention to older adults who are in poverty. So that's just one example of what discrepancies you might have when you're talking to people about what does poverty mean. So going back, though, to just the regular census definition of poverty, trying to get these numbers lined up, I looked at what we have in Glendale. And so when you're talking about somebody in poverty, a family of four would be about $22,000 a year, which comes out to about $1,800 a month. And then just for some barometer, if you will, on what that really means, the average or the median rent in Glendale is over $1,200. That gives you $570 net. So if you're talking about a family of four, you get $570 left out of your budget to pay for food, for medicine, for diapers, for school supplies, for transportation. That's what poverty means. When we looked at there's citydata.com has a summary of some indicators in Glendale, and this is using 2009 data. You can see on the left-hand side, the columns on the left are Glendale, the columns on the right are California. Glendale in all categories exceeds the state average on these measures. So a little bit higher rate of poverty in Glendale compared to the state, but look at the difference when you look at women, particularly women 65-74 and women 75 and older. Women 65 to 74 are at 15.3% compared to a state average of 9%. Women 75 years and older, 33% rate of poverty compared to the state, level of 11.2%. And then I put in on the right-hand side the disability rate among women in poverty. And this number is so big, I sort of wonder, what is it really? But it shows 33% of women with disabilities in Glendale live in poverty. Okay, so that's something worth thinking about. What does it mean for us as a community? What are the special needs of some older women? Now, as you know, Essentia works with homeless adults and families. So, you know, what we have is something very different when you're talking about an academic debate about poverty and how big the numbers are and so forth. We're looking at really a situation of real lives that come through our door that need help. So we see many different faces of poverty. We have women with physical and mental disabilities making up a disproportionately high number of people in our program. And for those women, we look for programs that can help alleviate poverty. They're not going to be folks that we're going to get out of poverty necessarily, but we're looking to figure out ways to address the poverty and the issues that come with it so that they aren't further harmed by it, if you will. So we're looking at housing subsidies so that they can afford a place to live. We're looking at health care, Medicare, Medi-Cal, to help them access health services. So we're looking at those public benefits for people who can't really work their way out of poverty. For families with children, we have other strategies. We're looking at a 21.9% rate of poverty nationally for children. This comes from the Women's Law Center. And 40% poverty rate for female-headed households. So we're looking at women with children facing very high barriers to economic stability, and this puts them at huge risk of homelessness, and it's not surprising to see a very high incidence of women who are very poor homeless. What this means is that there are even greater economic they're even not just economic hurdles, but other hurdles for women trying to raise their family. Without a home, they lack a geographic base from which they can work, educate their children, and care for other family members. Without a home, women will find it hard to manage their personal lives and take care of their own health and well-being. So at Essentia, our first priority is to get the family out of the shelter and out of their car. Many of them come to us living in their car, and into a house or apartment so they can rebuild their future. We get quite a few people who work. This is Wanda. She is working in our shelter. Had a part-time job at Vaughn's, and then she broke her ankle, but she's getting back to work again. But for people like her who maybe don't have a full-time employment, there's a very important program, the Earned Income Tax Credit, and that's something that your viewers should know about now because taxes are due April 15th. And if you have people who are not making a whole lot of money, they should be looking into whether they can be eligible for this tax credit. It can bring people in anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000s in additional income. So this is one way in which people can get bumped a little out of poverty using the Earned Income Tax Credit. For more information on that, people can go to the IRS website or they can talk to their tax accountant. So one of the things in thinking about women in poverty is that we're facing a really challenging economy. The rules that applied when we were growing up don't apply anymore. The stable professions, the ideas of working for the same business for an entire career, those rules simply don't apply. Workers today have far more insecurity than at any point in recent history. And this means we need to be more resourceful. 2 years ago, your commission honored a woman who I think exemplifies this resourcefulness. That didn't come out too well, but that's Blanca. You may remember the first part of Blanca's story. She came to Essentia after her husband had beaten her badly. We don't usually take women leaving an abuser, but in her case, she was unable to find shelter elsewhere because she was pregnant and had 2 young children. She had a daughter who was a year old and a son who was 5. She gave birth prematurely, and the baby had 60% chance of survival. When he was well enough to come back with her, she brought him to the shelter where they lived for a few weeks until we could move them into their own apartment. At that time, our program allowed participants to stay up to 2 years. The participant will pay a portion of their income for rent, and then they would save their money and work toward moving to a more stable place after the program ended. After living in their car or living in a shelter, most families who come into this program really want to do it up and decorate the apartment and make it their home. Not Blanca. She did not put a single picture on the wall. She didn't buy pretty curtains. She didn't do anything to make the house look like a home. She left it blank. During those 2 years, she nurtured her infant to health, got her daughter into preschool, and her son repeatedly earned Student of the Month awards. And she continued with school and work. And she did this knowing that her goal was not to stay in that apartment. Her goal was to be someplace else. And she didn't want that apartment to represent where she was going to stay. She was going to move beyond it. This discipline, in the face of so many barriers, really inspired me. When women face a challenge with determination, there really is no stopping them. Far too many women don't know what it feels like. They don't know what that feels like. They don't know that even when they accomplish heroic acts in their everyday life, they haven't had the benefit of telling them and noticing that they've done something important and something that shows their strength. Our economy is changing too quickly to predict with any certainty what occupation will be the right path or what course will pay off the most. The best that we can do to ensure that women are educated and supported is to take responsible risks. Some of the things that are important for women may seem really obvious and simple. Don't pick the wrong partner. Don't become disabled. Know how to get a job and keep a job. Now, of course, people can't control whether they become disabled. They can know that there are resources out to help people with disabilities, and many people with disabilities do really well and can really overcome the challenges that they face. But the reality is, for many people who are severely disabled, there are not enough public resources to help them out of poverty. But choosing the right partner is critically important. It's critical for emotional well-being. It's critical for economic well-being. And as some of us know, divorce is costly, and it really sets you back. Getting a job depends not only on education, but also on a range of social skills necessary to navigate workplace politics. So I wanted to commend the Commission on the programs that you offer to young women in particular that cultivate a broad range of skills to make them be the strong and resourceful young women that they're going to need to be. Because when we're talking about poverty, we can talk about addressing the poverty that faces us today, but we really also need to be looking down the road on what are we able to do all along the way to get people to a place where they are strong enough to navigate a very, very challenging world. So I want to thank you for the opportunity, and that's us. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or try to.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
If I may be permitted?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Well, the poverty population in the United States is getting worse. Probably reaching levels back in 1964 when there was the war on poverty that was declared by President Johnson. What I would like for you to address is what is specifically Essentia doing in order to alleviate the poverty problem here in Glendale? What methods is Essentia using for that purpose?
Well, I'll have to start by saying that that's not our core mission. Our mission is to end homelessness. So it's to get people off the streets and into housing. The next step is then certainly to do what we can to help people become self-sufficient enough that they do escape poverty. But when you look at the range of clientele that we're serving, you have to take each person as they come. So for some people, we're looking at people with some pretty significant disabilities, and so we're working with folks who are going to require benefits and support throughout their lives. But for people who are employable, we are working with them to connect them to a job and a better job, and then the third next best job. We provide support and referrals to Verdugo Job Center. We pay for things like, I just paid for a set of knives for a guy who had a job.
So you have a
cooking.
specific target group.
So our target is you have to be homeless.
Okay, so it's homelessness first.
Homelessness first. But within that, they're all very low income, if not in poverty.
Okay, so how many women comprise of the individuals that you service?
And you're killing me because my staff sent me the data and I ran out of here without looking at the report. We serve about 1,200 people a year.
Okay.
And
But how many of those are women?
I would want to run back to my phone and pull the file up. But we in the transitional housing program, which is a subset of what we do, we serve 12 families a year, and most of those are single moms with children. And so
It's more women.
Oh, definitely. I mean, one of the things that does make us unique is we also take single fathers who are often refused shelter in other areas. But predominantly, when you're looking at families, they're going to be single moms with kids.
Okay, and then out of this group, how many are regional transients as opposed to those who are local?
About 50% of our folks come from Glendale proper, and the rest come from outside of the city of Glendale, including the far reaches of Los Angeles County and some out of state even.
And then why is that? Are you geared specifically for local homelessness, or is it like you accept county funds and therefore you have to accept people that are regional transients?
Well, our priority is for people from Glendale. But at any given time, we don't always have people coming to us from Glendale seeking shelter. And the fact is that there are around 50,000 homeless people in LA County on any given night, and I believe less than 10,000 shelter beds. So you have a huge difference between the number of people who have a need and the amount of resources available. So people will come to us from great distances because they simply can't find shelter elsewhere.
And then how do these homeless individuals approach you? Because I'm pretty confident that if I go down Broadway or Colorado, I'll see a lot of homeless people in and around alleys or church parking grounds. Eventually they get arrested for trespassing, they get into court, they fail to appear, they get arrest warrants issued, and so on and so on and so on. A lot of them are alcohol and drug programs. How do you reach out to these individuals who, if you walk 2 blocks away, you'll find them?
Well, we have a street outreach team, and it's led by Alfred, who has a background in drug abuse counseling and working with people with mental illness. And so usually those folks don't come with us immediately. We have to keep back and visiting them repeatedly, build up some trust in the relationship, and at some point they reach a point where they're too tired and too sick of having that same cycle over and over again. But, you know, alcoholism and addiction are insidious, and it's very hard to break through that, and the person really has to want that change. So our job is to be there and be ready when they're ready for the change, and we will transport them to the treatment programs. We have a van that we will do that. And then we will continue to work with them at our Access Center. So we provide ongoing services. And at the Access Center, we have employment services, drug abuse counseling, mental health services, and so forth. So if we can get them over to our building, then we have a better chance of retaining them over the long run.
And then, Madam Chair, one final question. Why is there such a discrepancy between the Glendale poverty indicators and the state of California, where Glendale seems to be much higher? That I don't understand. What's the
I don't
reason?
know. I just pulled the numbers. I don't have an explanation for it. I thought that they were interesting. And I thought it would be something for the commission to take a look at. Especially the disability number was just astounding to me. So, you know, that is something that I think would have been of interest to the commission, so I put it in there.
And finally, how can we help as a commission?
Well, I do want to say, I think things like your Camp Rosie are really great programs for reaching out to young women at an age where they're vulnerable and they need a lot of guidance and support, and they need it from all sectors because maybe the home life isn't good, or maybe it is, but they're not receptive to whatever their parents are offering them or saying to them. And having a peer support network that can also help move them forward in positive direction, I think, is really helpful. Having self-defense classes, doing those sorts of things that give women an opportunity to draw on their own internal resources, I think, are absolutely fundamental. And those are the things that they don't talk about in school. They don't say, those are the soft things that people don't value very much, but they actually matter quite a bit.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have a few questions. Are there any other questions? If you, as you go forward, and our Camp Rosie comes up this summer, if you have families who are in your transitional housing that have teenage daughters or preteen daughters that fit the criteria, you might really want to consider having them apply to be in the program, and so that they can get a full 3 weeks of all of that information themselves.
Thank you. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is, you happen to mention that you used to have in your transitional housing, it's 12 units.
Mm-hmm.
So you obviously have a great waiting list.
Well, we don't hold on to a long waiting list, actually, because people's situations are so fluid and change so frequently. So when we have an opening, we do outreach around that ahead of time, because we'll know a month out if somebody's ready to move, in most cases, unless there's some abrupt departure, but that's rare.
And is it still 2 years?
No, the federal government the laws around this have changed, and they're looking at doing it for a 12-month program.
12 months.
Which, when you're talking about getting people out of poverty and trying to overcome years of a lack of education and so forth, that's not very much time.
When you are furnishing these homes, do you look within the community for those types of donations?
We do, and we have gotten huge numbers of donations at times that almost overwhelm us because we don't have it. We don't have a moving crew. But from time to time, yes, we do need items to help.
Okay,
so we have that on our website too. So if folks are interested, they can go to our website at a.
Can you state that website?
Oh, it's back. I don't know if you want to put it. It's the last slide, but it's essentia.ca.org, and Elizabeth Tismere is our contact for volunteering and for donations of donated, goods, if you will. There you go.
We very much appreciate your time. We appreciate what you do in the community. We very much appreciate your time in coming to present to us this evening. As you know, March is the theme this month is Rising Above Poverty, and we really appreciate you helping us to illustrate what's going on here in Glendale.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Natalie.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda?
Next is item 3, oral comment. I don't have any speaker cards.
I don't have any speaker cards either, so we'll go to the next item.
Item 4, consent items. At A, approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on February 11, 2013.
All right. Are there any changes that the commission would like made to the minutes, or is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
And I believe that we then are all in agreement, and it's unanimous. So next item on the agenda, please.
Item 5, business agenda. At A, action items. At 1, update on Sexual Assault Awareness Month activities. At A, motion providing direction regarding activities.
Mrs. Alexanian, could you provide a brief report on this item, please?
Sure. For the upcoming April 2013 Sexual Assault Awareness Month, staff has been working on developing a calendar of events to raise awareness in the community about sexual assault awareness and prevention. The first item that we have is on Tuesday, March 26th at 6 p.m. The mayor and city council will be presenting a proclamation for SAM, which is abbreviation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and Denim Day to the commission. And Chair Miller may accept the proclamation, and the commissioners are invited to attend as well. Also, as in previous years, staff has secured self-defense classes to provide women and girls in the community at no cost self-defense classes, and the following dates and times and locations have been secured. We have Wednesday, April 3rd at the Adult Recreation Center from 6 to 8:30 p.m., Wednesday, April 10th at the Glendale Community College from 6 to 8:30 p.m., and Wednesday, April 17th at the Glendale Police Department from 6 to 8:30 p.m. To RSVP or for more information, people may email us at women@ci.glendale.ca.us or call us at 818-548-4844. Space is limited, so people should contact us to reserve a spot. The classes will be provided by longtime commission partner Shield Self-Defense Training, founded by Nelson Neo. And also we have Denim Day, which for the past 7 years the commission has supported Peace Over Violence, Denim Day and LA Awareness and Fundraising Drive. Over the course of the past 5 years, the commission has also organized Denim Day in Glendale, Dollars for Denim, and as a result has donated approximately $7,000 to Peace Over Violence, and this year it's on Wednesday, April 24th. I have self-defense class flyers should the commissioners want to take some to pass out. We have some in the back, and we'll also have some at the city counters for distribution, and it will be up on the website as well.
Great. This item is open for discussion. Does anybody have any comments? I would very much like to encourage the community to take part in all of the events that we are offering during April. As you know, the Sexual Assault Awareness Month is April, and it is something that the Commission has gotten very much behind every single year. And we would very much like you to participate in our self-defense classes, the Denim Day, as well as all of the ongoing events that we do offer throughout the year, as well as the money that we give to the grant for housing, emergency housing, that the police department uses. So it looks like we're set for April. And if there's no further discussions, do we need a motion on this item? Okay, so we need a motion on the events for April. Can we have a motion?
So the motion would be that, under alternative one, would be to approve the programs that are in the report. Is that
To
the
accept
motion?
the report as is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I will make that motion.
Second.
Okay, and that is also a unanimous motion. So we will go on to the next item, please.
Item 5A2, update regarding the 9th Annual Jewels of Glendale Fundraising Luncheon. At A is a motion providing direction regarding the 9th Annual Jewels of Glendale Fundraising Luncheon.
Okay. Well,
Would you like a report on that?
yes, I would
Chair
like a
Miller?
brief report on that as well.
As reported last month, the 9th Annual Jewels of Glendale Awards Luncheon is Thursday, May 9th at the Oakmont Country Club. It's to bring attention to the accomplishments of women in the city of Glendale and raise funds for various projects of the commission. And we just wanted to announce that Lisa Bauman has been secured as the Mistress of Ceremonies for the event and has agreed to volunteer her time. Ms. Bauman has been a professional stage and television actress, singer and dancer, and sports radio personality. Her life changed a few years ago when she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She will be the Mistress of Ceremonies. Also, the nominations for the 2013 Jewels of Glendale Awards closed on February 22nd. And the commission received 9 nominations for Jewels of Women of Courage Award and 4 nominations for the GEM Award. The Jewel Award goes to women who work, volunteer, live, or study in Glendale that have overcome obstacles, serve as role models in the community, and demonstrate exceptional strength, courage, and perseverance. The GEM is awarded to one outstanding high school senior who is engaged in community services that reflects the core values and mission of the Commission on the Status of Women. Will award a $1,000 scholarship during the Jewels of Glendale event. Not sure if Chair Burns or Chair Burns for the event or Chair Miller would like to announce the awardees.
Well, we are very excited. I first off would like to just give a great big thank you to our chair for our luncheon, Vice Chair Burns. She has secured our MC, and she's done a great job on the invitation, and we are very appreciative of all the efforts that she's put forth in this. We did have a number of nominees. We had some great nominees. All of them were great nominees, and it was very hard to determine. We really would like to take all of them, frankly, if you want to know, as well as the gym awardees. But with any award, as you know, we have to go with those that, when we look at the purpose of this award and we look at those that have the background that closely match it, we have identified, do you want a roll call, or do you want a
Drum roll.
drum roll, or should I just announce it? Have I held off? Am I being like Channel 4 News where I keep giving clips and I don't say the story? Okay, so here it goes. Our awardees are, the first one is Karine Gregorian, Armin Hakopian, Nasli Zalea, and Alyssa Rosenfeld Ortiz. We also have for our gym student scholarship awardee, Gabrielle Granados. And with that, that rounds out our 2013 awardees that we will have at our luncheon on May 9th and meet them and hear all about their background. So we're excited.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Any other items on this? Any other comments on this agenda item?
No.
Okay. All right. So do we need a motion to accept? Okay.
Is there any other direction that you'd like to provide, or if there's none, then you do not need a motion?
Is there any other comments you have regarding the luncheon? Okay, we will hold off any of those until April. So we will go to the next item on the agenda.
Next item is 5B, reports for information only at 1, Commission on the Status of Women's 2012 Master Calendar of Events.
Have before you.
Can I have a brief report? Do you have any sort of report on this?
No, I just wanted to let you know that the calendar is part of the packet, so if Commission has any comments for staff or would like to make any updates, be happy to make those changes or add events.
And we do have a number of events, aside from the community participating, which I've already stated. I encourage every single commissioner to attend as many events as you are able. Okay. And if there's nothing further on this, we're going to go to the next item on the agenda, which I believe is staff comments,
That's correct.
or commissioner comments.
Yes, Commission staff comments.
All right. So, Commissioner Tashtian, would you like to comment?
I have three quick matters. As you all know, the Senate, the U.S. Senate, in February passed the Violence Against Women Act. The U.S. House passed it about a week and a half ago. So that's a very major accomplishment and a very important piece of legislation. My second comment is please attend the self-defense classes. This is an important class. I'm going to have my daughter there again this year. I had her there last year. And she really enjoyed it, especially now that she's going to college, and I think that's important. She's a bit out of the house. I think this is something that's everybody should attend. And then finally, we have our elections coming up April 2nd, and I encourage everyone who's a registered voter to go and vote. Thank you.
As Commissioner Kataschin mentioned before, I actually am interested in getting the self-defense classes, the word out to high school seniors, because I know there are many girls at Glendale High that deserve to have some classes as defense. So I'm interested in getting the word out for that, and I'm also excited for the Jewel Luncheon to meet the nominees.
Vice Chair Burns?
Well, forgive me, Commissioner, down there at the end. You had to leave, remember? You were asked to leave it as part of the self-defense class last year when he was teaching the girls. No men were to know what the girls were going to learn. That was a good thing. Last month, Arbor Day, Glendale Beautiful donated 90 trees to Glendale through donations for in memory of or in honor of. And one of our trees was given in memory of Barry Zarian, and we received a diploma for that. Montrose had its 100th birthday, and we lost a really, really lovely lady by the name of Doris Boyer. I'd known her a long time. She was a terrific lady, and we really will miss her. Coming up, the Glendale Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, Thursday morning, 6 o'clock at the Civic Auditorium. The State of the City comes along March 28th at the Hilton. The Women's Civic League on the 28th is going to introduce the school board members. That would be at the Elks. Then we have kind of a fun thing going on. Thursday, March 21st, from 11 to 1:30, the Police Association is having a fundraiser for the Vegas running team, and that will be at the community room. There's a $7 donation. A lot of things happening on the 21st. The association, let me see. Accolades 2013. Seroptimus is having a luncheon March 21st, 11:30 at the Hilton, $35 per person, and they are going to honor three ladies with accolades. GYA is coming along Wednesday, April 17th from 11:30 to 1:30, and we'll be able to talk about that in April, I think. So the Commission encourages all of you to support all of the events that we are supporting.
Thank you. I also, along with you, want to echo some kind words about Doris Boyer. She was a Live Well member in our senior program. She was a joy to visit. I met her at a time in her life when she was in a decline health state for the last few months, but it was certainly always a pleasure, and everything she did with a lot of energy and a lot of determination, and so she will be missed, and we'd just like to give our thoughts to her family. I'd also like to congratulate, in February, I attended the Glendale Latino Association luncheon. I'd like to congratulate, on behalf of the Commission, our Men, Women in Business of the Year, and our Woman of the Year was Robin Goldsworthy of CV Weekly. Our Man of the Year was Chief Police Rhonda Pompa, and our Business of the Year was Glendale Memorial Hospital. That was a lovely event that took place up at Oakmont, and it was really fun to see all the new awardees. We also want to keep in mind that March is Women's Histories Month, and of course, we're the Commission on the Status of Women. We want to give a great big thank you to our community partner, Glendale Arts, as well as the Alex, for putting a banner on their website acknowledging our work together celebrating Women's History Month. So when you get a chance, check out this banner. It's also linked to our website, and it tells about celebrating. It just gives a little shout out to celebrating the Glendale Commission status on women and how we're celebrating Women's History Month. A couple of things that are coming up at the Alex, you might want to know tomorrow that they are presenting Second City. So this is very exciting for Glendale. Think in terms of, when you think of Second City, think of Tina Fey, Steve Carroll, and Dan Aykroyd. That's pretty much where that got that start. And so that's tomorrow night at the Alex, and you can certainly check out their website to find out more. They also, in April, are having a James Bond series movie, so you can check that out as well. And every Tuesday night includes a Q&A with the actors and the actresses from the film. So that's pretty interesting as well, if that's something that interests you. I'd like to give a big congratulations to everybody who was nominated, to everybody in our eyes that was nominated. It is a jewel of this city as well as a gem, and to also invite you to come and join with us in May to celebrate these wonderful awardees as they are presented at our luncheon. And with that, if there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And today's meeting is adjourned at 6:15 p.m.
Tried to